Hey, this is Mrs. Reichelt. In this next video, we're going to go ahead and talk about what controls the digestive system activity. So typically, your digestive system is going to be controlled by the parasympathetic nervous system. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense because the PNS deals with the resting and digesting division of the nervous system. So digestion should fit right in with the parasympathetic nervous system. There's chemical and mechanical receptors that are located in the organ walls that trigger some reflexes to occur. Those reflexes are listed right here. So some of the stimuli that induce a reflex would be the stretching of an organ. So if your stomach stretches a little bit, typically that means that there's going to be food in it. So you need to have some sort of digesting activity occur. Also, the pH of the contents will trigger a response as well. And then the presence of actual food or foodstuff that needs to be broken down. Some of the reflexes of your digestive system include the activation or inhibition of glandular secretions. So hopefully it makes sense that if you have food in your stomach, your gland production is going to increase because you're going to need to use some sort of enzyme to break that food down. If your stomach is empty, then that glandular secretions will be decreased, as well as smooth muscle activity it'll happen in the same way as the glandular secretions. If you have food in your stomach, then smooth muscle activity is going to increase. If there's nothing in your stomach or in your GI tract, then that muscle activity will decrease. So there are different sites for each of the types of breakdown. So mechanical breakdown is when food is physically broken down by chewing. Chemical digestion is when you have food that's mixed with saliva or other enzymes. An example of this would be when starch is broken down into maltose by the salivary amylase. Remember, words that end in ASE are enzymes. So all the digestion that occurs in the mouth is through mechanical as well as chemical digestion. So next up, we're going to go through some of the activities of the pharynx and the esophagus. It's kind of interesting because these do not actually have a digestive function, so no digestive function here. They're going to serve as the passageway to the stomach. And then we get to the stomach, there's a lot of functions here. You have gastric juice that's regulated by neural and hormonal factors. Then you have the presence of food or the rising pH, which will cause the release of the hormone gastrin. Make sure you know that the stomach has a pH of like 2.6. So when you eat food, you're actually neutralizing or you're raising the pH. That raising pH will cause you to secrete more gastrin, which is acidic, which will drop your pH down again. Gastrin will cause stomach glands to produce protein digesting enzymes as well as mucus. So remember, protein digestion begins in the stomach. Then you have HCl or hydrochloric acid, which makes the stomach contents very acidic. And you have an additional enzymes that are also acidic. Pepsinogen is one of them. Basically, they aid in protein digestion. And they also will prevent, so part of the reason why your stomach is really acidic is it prevents it acts as a hostile environment for your body, but also for any type of microorganism that's maybe in your food. It helps to kill those as well. So protein digestion enzymes include pepsin and renin. Basically, we talked about pepsin already, but renin works on digesting milk proteins in infants, but it does not have a function for adults. And then alcohol and aspirin are the only items that can be absorbed in the stomach alone. And then you have propulsion that occurs as well. So food must be really well mixed and it'll turn into food stuff, or ultimately it'll be called chyme. So you have rippling peristalsis that occurs in the lower stomach. The pylorus will turn out chyme into the small intestine between about 30 milliliters at a time, and then your stomach takes between 4 and 6 hours to empty out. Sometimes they say that digestion should occur between 4 and 6 hours, and it's not necessarily that absorption occurs that fast, but that's the amount of time that it typically takes for your stomach to be emptied from your last meal. If your digestion time takes much longer, then it's likely that you have some sort of gastroparesis, some sort of slow stomach type syndrome. The digestion in the small intestine, basically you have enzymes from the brush border which function into break down sugars into simple sugars. It also completes protein digestion. Remember, protein digestion starts in the stomach, but it's finished in the small intestine. You also have water absorption. There's some water that will be absorbed along the length of the small intestine. Most of your water absorption will occur in the large intestine. And then the end products of digestion, you'll have most of those substances are absorbed by the active transport through cell membranes. Lipids are also absorbed by diffusion, and then substances are being transported to the liver by the hepatic portal vein or lymph. And then your small intestine undergoes propulsion and segmentation. So propulsion occurs in the form of peristalsis as well as segmentation, which is the major way that foodstuff or chyme moves through your digestive system. Your large intestine has no digestive enzymes at all. You have resident bacteria that remains, basically it feeds on the remaining nutrients, things like E. coli and that sort of thing. They also produce some vitamins. So some of your bacteria that are in your large intestine produce vitamins like potassium. It also produces vitamin B. Not vitamin potassium, but it produces vitamin K and then vitamin B as well. It also helps to release gases. So bacteria that are in your stomach produce waste gases, sometimes methane, that kind of thing. And then water and vitamins are absorbed, and the remaining materials are eliminated through feces. The feces is going to contain undigested food residue, mucus, bacteria, and water as well. The propulsion of the large intestine is a very slow type of peristalsis. You have mass movements which are slow and powerful. They occur 3 to 4 times per day. The presence of feces in the rectum causes a defecation reflex. Basically, your internal and sphincter will be relaxed, and then defecation will occur with the relaxation of the voluntary external anal sphincter. So make sure that you know that the large intestine has a combination of voluntary as well as involuntary sphincters. And that wraps up the major activities of the digestive system. I hope you found that helpful.